It was evening. It was morning of day one, the beginning of all things, the beginning of the cosmos itself and of everything that it contains. We could put the emphasis on the adverb at the beginning of the verse. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Or we could put the emphasis on the works he made. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But the proper emphasis belongs in the middle. In the beginning, it was Elohim who created both the heavens and the earth. Somebody created, but it was nobody else except Elohim. Verse 2 sets forth an empty stage on which the action is about to transpire. A formless earth, a dark abyss, but over the waters of chaos is hovering the Spirit of Elohim. Then Elohim speaks on this empty stage and turns the lights on. He says, "Let there be light." And at the farthest ends of the universe in every direction, that first light is still shining. What issued forth from God's mouth in the first second is still tracing the boundaries of the known universe. Elohim saw the light, how good it was. Of course it was good. Light is a sliver of the divine glory. The divine glory is infinitely greater than the light, but the light is the most godlike of all the creatures of God, because it is something of himself that God put into his creation by the sharing of his glory at the very foundation of the world. We do not have a warfare between the spiritual and the physical worlds. They both participate in divine light. The physical world is good because it comes from the same God who inhabits the spiritual world. And Elohim mentioned twice in this verse, you may notice, so that there are actually 6 mentions of the divine title in the first 5 verses. Elohim distinguished between the light and the darkness. And in the 5th verse, concluding the first day of creation, Elohim, mentioned for the 6th time now, called the light day and called the darkness night. The verb here is naming or calling. So he went from speaking and back in the end to speaking again. He spoke, he saw, he discerned, and now he names. Later he will delegate to Adam the naming of the animals, but he has no one to delegate to here. There is Elohim alone and the light. It was evening, it was morning of day one. For us, a day begins at midnight and ends at midnight. That's standard, normal, modern time. It didn't work in the Roman Empire when they used sundials. The day began when the sun rose, and the next day began 24 hours later when the next sun rose. So Roman day went from sunrise to sunrise, where our day goes from midnight to midnight. And on the seas, in ships and in boats, when the captains kept their logs, noon straight up was the beginning of the day. That's nautical time. And these logs were kept this way until very recently. So we have the day starting at noon for seafarers, at midnight for modern people, at sunrise for the Romans, and it was sundown for the Jews. which is why we have Saturday evening masses and Easter vigils and vigils of other important feasts, because we have inherited this from the ancient Hebrew method of computation. Creation of light took place not at the beginning of the first day, but halfway through the first day, at the beginning of daylight, at dawn. God is just beginning to create the universe, and so far he has only turned on the lights. He will continue setting his stage in subsequent days. See you then.